Many children and youth are exposed to violence in their schools, homes, and communities. They're eyewitnesses of abuse and victims of abuse. Here to talk with me about the social implications of the violent behaviors on our youth, Center Manager for the Teen Hub, Mr. Rory Roberts. I'm Kediesha Watkis, and this is the Wellness Beat. Hi Rory, how are you?
I am doing well.
Very good. Let me first say congratulations, because we just recognized 5 years since the COVID-19 pandemic, and I heard some great things that the Teen Hub accomplished 5 years ago when we were in such a vulnerable time. Yes. For those in the audience who don't know what the Teen Hub is all about, explain to us what it is and who accesses it.
The Teen Hub is a safe space for youth and adolescents. We offer a wide variety of services for young persons for free. Mental health counseling, guidance counseling, career counseling, free printing, so students can come and access printing for their SBAs. HIV and syphilis testing as well. We do distribute condoms and have rap sessions with young persons. We have different stakeholders as well who come in and have conversations with these young persons. So as I said, it's just a safe space where young people can come and express themselves freely.
And you said two very important words, safe space. You know, as the Ministry of Health and Wellness, we are big on championing mental wellness, especially among our adolescent population. I mean, from your vantage point, how vital is it that we have safe spaces like the Teen Hub for our youngsters? It
is utmost important. I think when you're in your adolescent phase, it's the most judged phase of your life. You're finding yourself, you're discovering who you are, but sometimes these things comes with a lot of stereotype. For example, access to health care. Some of these adolescents want information on STIs or even family planning and stuff like that. So they don't have spaces where they can go for these things, because if they go into spaces where adults are, majority of the times they are being judged. Where she are there, so where am I there, so why am I do that? Why am I look for condom? Why she ask for family planning? So it is important to have spaces like these where young persons can freely and openly access these services where they won't feel judged or stereotyped.
And speaking about those safe spaces, it means that you're one of the first persons that they interact with inside of the hub. So you will be recognizing and observing their behaviors. When it comes to violence and exposure to violence, are there any observations that you have made with those who access the hub?
Several. As I said, it's really a safe space, and it's not just a term that we use. I see it every day. So sometimes we close at 5, but several days after we're running them out because they don't want to either go home or they don't want to go to their communities, because the reality of it is, and I'm not bashing any specific community and I'm not bashing any specific household, but a lot of the time the first experience of violence is from either the household or from the community. So I've heard many stories. I've counseled many young persons who have faced several instances of violence. And as I said, sometimes it's from the home. The implication of this, I have a lot of young persons who self-harm. I have a lot of, that's how they express themselves. So that's one of the main issues I'm facing right now with these young persons, where they cut themselves, burn themselves. And when you ask them why, you'll realize that that's the only way to get rid of their pain is to inflict pain to themselves. So I've heard a lot of traumatic stories, or I should say traumatizing stories.
Yeah.
And to me, it's sad because, as I said, a lot of the times it's coming from persons who should be protecting them.
Yes, yeah. Yes. So the homes, which should also be safe spaces, sometimes that's the place that they're running away from.
Yes, yes.
you know, you've touched on some important things, and I'm thinking also about our male, our female. Is there any kind of breakdown that you can give? Do we have a sense of, is it some more of our males being impacted, more of our females? Is it more male than female? That kind of thing. And you let out a big sigh there.
I would just say it's more male than female, but you know, females are more socialized to be expressive. So it's kind of hard to get it out of the males. But the females will express their stories very freely. Sometimes I have to dig deep. However, based on observation, I have a lot of males coming in at the teen hub. And this is where the issue kind of starts. They are not going to come there being saints, you know. They're this stereotypical bad boy behaving, but the truth is that's who we really want. They won't tell you that they are running from something, but you can tell. As I said, a lot of many days I have to be home time, you know. Sometimes though, based on where the hub is, I don't know, I didn't say, but the teen hub is located at Half a Tree Transport Center. It's a very central location. So we have security guards there, we have police there as well. A lot of the times they don't want to really see the boys in the hub because they want them to be home or in the communities. But when it comes to behavior change, you can't send them where they're being affected, things are happening. So I prefer to have them in the hub where I can observe them, where I'm seeing what they're doing. Because a lot of the time, as I say, it pains me because even when I send them home,
you know you're sending them into some terrible
situations. Or they're
situations.
not going home. Them gone on some ends, gone somewhere, gone do God knows what. So just to answer your question, I think I strayed a bit, but just to answer your question, I think it's equal in terms of in the demographic, male and female. The age group is still similar in terms of 12 to 18, 19, thereabout. But what I really want more, and I will try, is to get the young men to express themselves more. Girls will express what they're going through more freely than the boys.
So it's a safe space both for male and female, because we must understand that our men are struggling with some things. Our young boys, they need that safe space as well too. And so I'm thinking, Rory, you have a number of hours with these youngsters. What does it call for from you or other adults, guardians, to attend to their needs? What are some of the things that we need to be doing to help them?
We just need to be more realistic as adults, stop being hypocrites. I think about it. You're in a household where you develop these violent traits. Your mother probably arguing, father is probably absent, the household is violent, but these are the same people discriminating against you because you are violent. You know, it left some level of confusion for these young people because you teach them this, you create this monster, then you want to ostracize this monster. So I just think adults should be a little bit more empathetic. We are not empathetic as adults, we more judge. It's almost as if we weren't teenagers, we weren't adolescents. You know, we drop from sky and become adult and we're all perfect. And now we're looking at these young people and then they're all demons. So instead of demonizing these young people, especially our boys, is try to understand them and try to be a little bit more empathetic and find ways in terms of getting them to express themselves where they can freely speak about what they're going through, because mental health is a big issue now for these young people. So I just want us as adults, stakeholders as well, to stop being so judgmental, allow these young people to have spaces where they can express what they're going through or speak what is affecting them.
So we need that empathy.
Definitely.
And understanding mind and just being open to giving the kind of support. Yes, and I'm thinking, what else can we do to support them, even beyond the hub? So when they go home, what can we do? We
need some parental workshop. A lot of the times, what will happen is that we try to target we try to deal with the issue directly. So John is 16, he's being problematic, having behavioral issue. we try to target John, but not target where the root problem, the root cause. So we have to target the parents, we have to target the communities, we have to target the churches, we have to target the youth club. So it's not just addressing these issues directly with these children or these young people, but to address the issues that surround them. And I'm going to give an example. Like a month ago or two, I was having car issue and I was on the bus. And listen to me, I was shocked. I'm looking around, I'm seeing probably like at least 6 kids between the age of 8 to 12. And the songs and the conversation. And I'm wondering if I'm in a different world, because where I grew up, certain things you don't discuss around children, you don't expose children to certain things. And everybody's just so comfortable with the lewd music, the violent conversation. And these children are just sitting, soaking things up, right?
Yeah.
So we need to have certain training workshops for parents, for adults in general, guardians in general, where they can understand that there's a difference. You don't, because we're teachers. Teachers aren't in schools. We're all teachers. And once we say these things, do these things, they'll mimic them, you know? So we need to, as adults, understand how we socialize or how we interact around or with children.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point to wrap up on, the fact that we all are teachers. So it's going to take an all of society approach for us to really respond to the mental health crisis unfolding among our adolescent and youth. Such a pleasure to have you, Rory. I was telling someone backstage that you can't miss the Teen Hub when you go inside Halfway Tree. It's a colorful place, right? So once you see those bright colors, you know this is a space for teens.
Definitely.
I want to just congratulate you on the excellent work that you're doing, fostering that safe space for our adolescents. Rory Roberts, Center Manager for the Kingston Teen Hub, our guest today, the first of 2 guests here on the Wellness Beat. Stay tuned. Our next guest, Dr. Judith Leiba, she will be talking to us about the clinical side of things as concerns caring for our adolescents. Thanks for staying with us. Health and social problems, just some of the consequences that are faced by adolescents who are exposed to violence. My second guest is Dr. Judith Leiba, Director of Child and Adolescent Mental Health in the Ministry of Health and Wellness. This is the Wellness Beat. Welcome, Dr. Judith Leiba.
Thank you very much, Kediesha. My pleasure.
Happy to have you. We have been talking about exposure to violence and the mental wellness of our adolescents. Is there a sense of safety, would you say, being experienced by our youth population?
Well, I'd flip the question and say a lot of our youth population do not feel safe, especially in certain circumstances. I know that Ministry of Education did a recent study, and they said that a lot of the children felt that they were safest actually at school. So in other places, sometimes community homes, they don't feel as safe as, let's say, at school. And we have a recent study which we can explore in terms of what our adolescents have told us about exposure to violence.
And that's interesting, even as you touch on schools, because we know that bullying is something that we're watching, sure, inside of the Ministry of Health, inside of the Ministry of Education. But I think the point is that so many different avenues where our children are exposed to violence. In terms of your experience as a psychiatrist, what trends do you observe in terms of that exposure by our adolescent population to violence?
Okay. So I'd say approximately 3 out of 4 adolescents into youth, because it's age 13 to 24 that study spoke to, say that they have experienced violence at all in their lifetime, their short lifetime. So that's 3 out of 4 persons, right? And 1 out of 2 females that they have actually experienced physical violence, whereas 3 out of 5 males have experienced physical violence, okay? In terms of sexual violence, no. 1 out of 3 females say that they've experienced sexual violence, and that the age at which they experienced it was usually age 13 and younger, 1, and 2, it was usually by friends and neighbors, right? Whereas in terms of sexual violence, the boys said the rate is 1 out of 5 boys. So sometimes we don't think about sexual violence on boys, because boys who have been, like, say, sexually abused, usually you don't want to disclose, they don't want to come to the clinic for help because they're going to be labeled as homosexual. So they suffer in silence, right? But the study, which I will mention now, it's called the Violence Against Children study, VAC study. It was spearheaded by UNICEF and a number of other partners, and it was done in 2023. So that revealed a lot of interesting points about violence. So 1 in 5 boys said that they had experienced sexual violence. Now, their perpetrators were not friends or neighbors. It was usually an intimate partner that you know, would occasion this violence on them. Yeah.
And it's interesting that you call attention to that, because my talk earlier in the segment was with Rory Roberts. He's the center manager for the Kingston Teen Hub. And he himself pointed out that there were young boys, of course, who were among those offered mental health screening and counseling through the Teen Hub. And he was driving home that point for us to be very much aware of our young men and
sexual violence.
Violence.
And it can be from like older boys, so it can be from a male, you know, a male, or sometimes it's older women who initiate these boys sexually without the boys really being ready. You understand?
Wow. The statistics are startling, Dr. Leiba, and there's so much that our children are exposed to. You may have answered this question likely in one of your earlier responses, but I still want to ask, where are our children and youth most likely to first experience or be exposed to violence?
Okay. Well, in home and communities. Okay, well, they spend a lot of time at home.
At home.
And they spend a lot of time, of course, in their communities. And as I said before, a recent study showed that a good amount of them feel safe at school. So then we're looking at home and communities. In fact, 2 out of 5 of this group said that they had experienced violence in the home as a child. And 3 out of 5 said that they had experienced violence in the neighborhood or their community. So it's home and community.
It's home and it's communities. And these are spaces that they should be feeling safe.
Yeah.
But we have a problem on our hands.
Yes.
So if we're in this space, in our communities or neighborhoods, and we come across these children or adolescents, what are some of the indicators that they have been exposed to violence? What will we see? What have you seen?
Okay. Well, the first thing is that children who have been exposed to violence, after a while, tend to perpetrate violence. So, for instance, you go into a community and a lot of the boys want to become gunmen because they have seen their father shot down by a gunman. And that is the way that they're going to get back revenge, the anger they feel, the distress that they're feeling from not having a father, right? So eventually, and then at school, they may become more aggressive, and so on and so forth, right? So the perpetrators, they may become perpetrators. Then we have the trauma-related disorders, where you know, the vision or the memory of what has happened before, you know, witnessing maybe a violent scene, witnessing your father being shot down keeps on coming back to you. It interrupts your schoolwork, it interrupts your ability to study, it makes you angry and aggressive at school, so it affects your behavior.
It's like a tape rolling in the mind.
Right, yeah. So we talk, so those mental disorders, sometimes it's depression, plus anxiety, as I said, plus the trauma-related disorders. For girls, the sexual abuse, let's say the sexual violence, a lot of times they don't disclose it. So it's like internalized, and then the depression may lead to like suicidal ideation, and sometimes they may risk, attempting suicide. So all of that. Then we have to think about substance abuse. Okay, the pain that they're feeling, the aggression. I recently met a young miss, and she said that from maybe 13, she was smoking ganja. Why? Because she's very aggressive, and when she smoked the ganja, it calms her down. All right. We didn't get much further than that, but I'd want to dig into why you're so aggressive. What, was there some sexual abuse that you have not disclosed and you're trying to deal with on your own, right? And then flip side, the boys, they may smoke the ganja, but alcohol as well, maybe a way of assuaging the pain.
Yes.
Or sometimes the anxiety, right? So you're talking about now substance abuse.
Right,
okay?
right.
And then you're thinking about physical problems.
It's a long list, Doc.
I tell you, it's a long list. It can go on forever and ever. The physical problems, we get a lot of information from our injury surveillance at the A&E departments. And we've had reports of that, how many injuries take place and what age group and who does it. And when you hear the police statistics, a lot of the, let's say, murders or violent crimes is the kind of younger age group. So again, that is cementing the fact that violence exposure may lead to perpetrators.
Yeah.
Right? And then, as I said, the physical problems, for instance, being raped, you can get a STI, you can get unwanted pregnancies, teenage pregnancies, and all the different injuries that may disable somebody, disable a teenager or a young adult in the prime of their life, who is expecting to, blossom into a productive adult. And
so it just cuts their sense of purpose, the sense of the meaningfulness behind living and acting as a productive member of society.
Yeah.
This is such an important topic, Dr. Leiba. And of course, I know the Ministry of Health and Wellness continues to prioritize mental health. What are some of the things that the ministry is doing to address this issue, adolescent mental health?
Okay. Before we go there, there's another spin-off. The teenagers who have been exposed to a lot of violence, they have something called a sense of a foreshortened future.
Right.
So they say to themselves, by age 25, 29, I'm going to die anyway.
Yeah.
So let me just live it to the max.
Yeah, not gonna happen for me. Might as well.
Right, I'm going to die anyway, so what? Right? So sometimes when we look on and we feel that they're reckless or they don't care about life, but basically that's the conclusion they've come to because there's so much death around there. Okay, so why you're asking what the ministry has been doing? Well, first of all, we've been stressing the need for child and adolescent mental health, the importance of that,
yes,
particularly in the childhood and the teenage years. I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. WHO teen facts shows that about 50% of all mental illness emerge at about age 14. But these illnesses are not diagnosed or managed until about 10 years after. So from 14 to 24, this person is struggling with this mental illness. They can't study well, they can't form a good, relationship with maybe a partner very well, they can't do well at their jobs or get their career. So a lot of their development is hampered if the mental disorder is not dealt with, right? So that's so we are stressing that. We're trying to reduce the stigma so persons will seek help.
Yes.
Right? Because a lot of the problem is that they don't want to seek help, especially teenagers. They don't want to feel different from other teenagers.
Right.
They don't want to fit into the crowd. They know that they're feeling something different. So who do I talk to?
Mask it.
Right, and they mask it, right? Until it kind of explodes, okay? So we have an anti-stigma campaign called Do Your Share. So we've been, doing
Going
like
into the
PR stuff
schools.
like this. We've been going around to schools, doing school activations. Our Minister Tufton, has come with us as well, where we do a program in terms of trying to destigmatize mental health. We have a Jamaica move, so we want to link in the kids' brain the connection between mental health and physical activity,
Right.
and that synergy. And we usually give them a wellness bench.
Right. You have been going into the schools with the wellness bench.
Right. So that has been a success, because people don't think of mental health as kind of sexy, if you allow me to say that, right? So we're trying to make it a little jazzy and fun,
Yes,
right? And
yes.
that's what those are for.
And you're driving home the importance of taking a break, recognizing when something is wrong, recognizing when you are not at your best. And it's a message that we need for our youngsters.
Right, and finding a safe space.
A safe space, which is an excellent way for us to wrap up the show. We've been talking about adolescent mental health on this episode of The Wellness Beat. My guest, Dr. Judith Leiba, Child and Adolescent Health Director inside of the Ministry of Health and Wellness, a noted psychiatrist, and we're happy to have her with us. Thank you so much, Dr. Leiba, for being with us.
My pleasure.
So we hope that you continue to watch our episodes, The Wellness Beat, and we're so thankful that you are able to join us. I'm Kediesha Watkis. Take care.